To receive an instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Thank you. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia of the Lockhart Perspective, giving you an extended invitation for a 6-week project that we're doing here on the Lockhart Perspective. It's Black Beauty, but what's the real cost? It starts October 14th at 7 o'clock p.m. and runs through November 18th, the same time. We're looking at this billion-dollar industry that has made that's right here on the Lockhart Perspective, starting October 14th, 7 o'clock p.m. on YouTube. Because it is a billion-dollar industry. That's right. The hair care industry by itself is a billion-dollar industry. Now, we are focusing specifically on Black beauty products, but never fear, there are other products out there that have some terrible things going on as well. We're going to take a look at believe it or not, an actual CNN clip. And I say believe it or not because I'm not really somebody who always watches that channel. But I have found that some of their news, when it's just standard things, is pretty interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to answer a few questions because I know there are a lot of people who want to know things about Black hair. Using myself, I am a master cosmetologist and I've been licensed for well over a decade now. I enjoy doing hair. I enjoy cutting hair mostly, and I enjoy coloring. So those are the two things that I, excuse me, really love to do. But with that said, I know that having studied this field, there are several things that we put in our hair and onto our hair that can cause a bit of damage and that can cause some problems. The first segment that we're looking at tonight, so I guess it's best for me to go ahead and break it on down to you and let you know exactly how this 6-part series is going to go. Well, obviously today we are laying down the foundation of Black beauty, but what's the cost? Some pretty serious information, I would say. It gives you a little bit of backstory for the weave industry. Now, the weaves and the wigs are something that all ladies now are wearing. Doesn't have to just be, white women. Could be, Black women, could be white women, Hispanic. Every lady, excuse me, loves to have a little bit of added volume to their hair. And over the years, we've all used different types of things to enhance our look, specifically hair. Now, I remember back in the day when they used to wear falls and things of that nature in the hair to, make the hair look really pretty, just make it stand up and do all kinds of things. But this right here, I don't think you guys are going to be quite prepared for it because they are specifically talking about the hair that's being sold here in the United States to the majority of Black women. And there are a couple of stingers in it. Yeah. So one of the stingers is that slave labor is a part of the deal. Apparently, the United States Customs Department is not too happy. The United States government is not too happy that the hair that's coming from China and some other industries, other areas in this industry are being created or made or sold based on slave labor, not good. So we're going to take a look at it and we're going to research together over the next 6 weeks, starting tonight, with the beauty industry and exactly how it can actually make you physically ill. There is a story that we'll be reading and telling you about with regards to some research that's been done on what Black hair care products do for the body or don't do for the body. What type of harm it can cause to you physically. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I think oftentimes we have an allergic reaction. We think, oh, I must have eaten something, or it's just my allergies if we're getting an asthma attack. But what you'll find in this 6-week program is that no, it could actually be what you're putting in your hair, that there are plenty of carcinogens, and there are also several things that the FDA has cleared and has allowed that can tamper with your endocrine. I think that's how you say it. I'm not a doctor, but you know what I mean. Your glandular system throughout the body, right? It can affect your thymus. It can affect your pituitary. It's amazing what you'll learn in this series. Now, over the next few weeks, there will be a bevy of professionals in the industry that are coming with several years of experience in the beauty industry, but not just white or Black. They do all different types of hair, and they've been around, so they know exactly what they're going to talk about. So next week, we're going to have an excellent esthetician. He's had a business in the Atlanta area for several years. He's going to talk to you about your skin. He'll tell you exactly what you need for your skin. And he'll also go over some of the things that you possibly should consider over the next few months, because as you know, we're now headed into the winter months. As we're here in the fall, you will learn a lot of other things regarding that as well. So without further ado, I am going to show you this video that, as I stated earlier, is done by CNN. Very shocking, because I was not expecting this really good reporting from them, because, there's been a lot of stuff about them. And, sometimes you just got to weigh it all out, is the way I see it. You're not always going to agree with everybody, but one thing for sure, a good story when you hear it. And it would appear that some of their information, which is some of the things that I've known anyway, being a hairdresser for many years, I've come to know that, you can get really sick. Let me give you a real good example. At one time, when I did wear extensions and weaves and things like that, which I still do, I'll have a little wiglet on every now and then. You'll find that I'll wear one. Just, every now and then I'll wear one. But I had a weave done back in, I guess, maybe 2000 and I want to say 2009. And it was a beautiful job that was done. Somebody did it. It was beautiful. Her name is Kim. Actually, she's from Atlanta. One of the best weavers that I've ever met in my life. Holy smoke, she's really good. And all of a sudden, like the day after, or actually that night, I started to rub my eyes. But having had allergies ever since I was a little kid, I really didn't think anything of it. I thought, well, maybe it's just the change in season, and perhaps that's what I'm going through. But as the next 2 days progressed, my eyes began to look like a blowfish. Literally, they were huge. I had edema of the eyes. My eyelashes itched. It got so bad that my eyes literally closed shut. That's right. They closed shut. Couldn't believe that, but they did. And that was not too cool. Not cool at all. Went to the emergency room, sat there with the doctor, and they checked my eyes. They checked everything. They, put the little drops in there, and they went and did the blue light. Come to find out, my eyes were infected by something that was in or on that hair that the young lady had sewn into my hair. Now, wait a minute. We can't blame her, right? Because I was sitting there and I do hair, so I know she didn't put anything on it. I could see that. Well, come to find out, I was allergic to something that they had treated the hair in. And I'm going to mention there are many studies that show that a lot of the hair that we're sewing into our head or that we're creating and making into wigs are treated with formaldehyde and treated with a lot of other things to prevent, little bugs and things from hanging out. So with that said, I personally have had an experience, and the exact same thing happened with my daughter last year, albeit it was several years after my encounter. Because of what I had encountered, I knew automatically what it was that was going on with her, right? So with that said, I am not a person who says don't wear them, but what I'm saying is you need to be educated. Now, the clip that I'm going to show you is going to show you exactly how the slave labor portion came into play with the hair weave and all of that good stuff. And you're going to find out a lot of stuff that I don't think you knew, because even though I knew some of this stuff, I really didn't know all of it. And that's how life is. You'll never know everything. And so therefore you got to live another day, right? It's like you got to live another day so that you can continue to grow and continue to know more. But with that said, hello, dinner time, but I had to pop in late to the party, but greetings to Felicia Lockhart, watching you live on YouTube from Philadelphia. I want to right now, before we go on into this video, I want to tell you guys what a blessing this gentleman, Derek C. Williams, has been to my show. He's coming up on his 1 year mark, actually, as being a supporter of the channel. And he is very diligent. He is one of the people that I feel he's got he's got his arms stretched out for the people. He really does. I believe that he is one of those people who's a magnet, and he's a game changer. And he's been a blessing to myself, to my channel, to Black Spring with Autumn, several other people. I mean, he is who he is, even though he's a Gemini. He says that Chris Rock and the scientists, the white guy, was shocked that Black women put chemicals that burn the scalp into their hair. Absolutely. One of my professors, believe it or not, we were talking about, I think we were dealing with tort. It was a few years back, and my law professor got to talking about specific types of law. Damaged, we getting damage to somebody and all that good stuff. Not talking jargon, but just standard layman's terms. And he said that there had been an autopsy on a woman who had passed away, a Black lady. And Derek, this ought to intrigue you. That she had, and they had an autopsy. And when they had the autopsy, they sliced open the scalp. And there they found layers and layers and layers of what looked almost dark aqua green on the skull. And after they did some testing, they found out that it was sodium hydroxide mixed with some other things. Well, sodium hydroxide is a number one component to relaxers. Yes, relaxers. Do you know what we use to calm a burn down immediately if you don't have anything else? First aid in the salon? Coca-Cola. So imagine if something like Coca-Cola can calm it down. And you've heard that, yes, I know you are blushing, but that's an amazing thing, folks. Okay. So here's what we need to understand before I show this video to you all. And again, that video was 7 minutes. This is the introduction of Black Beauty at What the Cost. And but at what cost? And it's not going to be a very long one, because we're simply laying down the foundation for the next 5 weeks so that you'll know exactly what it is that we're going to be doing. But with that said, yes, it was the relaxer. The relaxer was on the base of the skull, and when they cut the head open, there it was, and there was her problem, part of her problem. But here, let's go on into this story. I'm going to switch out the screen for you here because I really want everybody to see this. I don't think you're going to believe what we're about to hear. And especially for us that say, we don't believe in slavery, which we don't. I don't think any of us do. I don't think any of us want anything like that. But by the same token, we are going to have to remember that slavery was not just a Black thing. Slavery has been all over the world, all over different parts. And this story is going to shock you because you'll find that there is an undertone of slavery. And it's actually quite bad. So again, it shocked me that it was on CNN because I'm not a real CNN fan. But hey, I just have to say, if it's the truth, I've got to take it. And I don't care who you are. Truth is truth, no matter who you are. How about that? How does that feel? So let me get this set up for us and we're going to watch it. Hey, you know what? If you are interested in coming back next week, I hope that you do, because next week we are going to have, like I said, the gentleman is going to be coming in and you'll see his commercial start pretty soon here. We're going to start to see all of the things that he has going on for the skin. And I really want men to look too, because in the study that I've done with this, I have found that it's not just the hair industry, because we're going to be dealing with skin, we're going to be dealing with makeup, we're going to be dealing with the whole gambit, right? But we're also going to look at Black men and what you can do to take care of your skin. How about that? To take care of your hair. Huh, what a concept. All right, folks. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and let you see this. It's about 7 minutes. And then after that, we are going to close up because, again, just the foundation for what we're going to be expecting over the next 5 weeks for Black Beauty. But at what cost? Yeah. All right. So here we go. I want to thank everybody for showing up this evening. You didn't have to be here with me, but you elected to, and I find that awesome. All righty. Here we go. You see that? Okay, there she goes. She's shopping. She's got her mask on. Boy, she's got her mask on, dude. All right, there you go, folks.
This one? Okay.
Part of an industry that revolves around the business of hair.
The first thing people see a lot of times is our hair.
It's a business worth billions, selling largely to African American consumers.
The business of hair extensions is booming.
Frankisha Watkins, owner of Bee Polished Beauty Supply in Arlington, Texas, says her average customer spends more than $100 a month on hair care.
Growing up as an African American woman, we're told our hair is our glory.
But even professionals say they know very little when it comes to the origin of all this hair.
This one actually does not list where exactly it's from.
In fact, the majority of it comes from China. Last year, China sold around $1 billion worth of real and synthetic hair to the U.S. This, one of the most intimate parts of a person's body, is also a valuable international commodity that industry insiders refer to as black gold. And this is a sample that I ordered online. It was advertised as untreated Xinjiang human hair, sourced from a part of China that is steeped in allegations of human rights abuses. In July, U.S. Customs and Border Protection delivered a shock to the industry: the seizure of a shipment of around 13 tons of human hair, worth more than $800,000.
We had a reasonable suspicion that the goods made in the shipment were produced using forced labor in China.
The hair comes from this industrial park in China's northwest Xinjiang region. A Chinese state TV report identifies these factories as part of a government-backed poverty alleviation program. The government has offered tax incentives and cheap labor to investors in the hair factories in what it says is an effort to employ thousands of people like this man.
My goal is to make one more wig every day.
Similar government videos have been made about other factories in Xinjiang, like this apparel factory. But CNN spoke with a woman who worked at the apparel factory, who says the reality was very different from images shown on Chinese state TV.
None of us worked there of our own free will.
Gulzira Awulkhan is an ethnic Kazakh originally from Xinjiang who emigrated to neighboring Kazakhstan. On a return trip to Xinjiang to visit her father in 2017, she says Chinese authorities detained her at the border.
They told me I came from a terrorist country. They cut my hair, took my blood samples.
Awulkhan says she was kept in an internment camp in a cell with 20 to 30 people sharing a bucket for a toilet. Human rights groups and the U.S. government accuse China of a massive detention campaign, rounding up more than 1 million ethnic Uyghur Muslims and members of other ethnic minorities into internment camps. Beijing calls the camps vocational training centers, aimed at eradicating violent extremism. But CNN has heard firsthand testimony from survivors of these internment camps, who say they were arbitrarily detained in horrific conditions for months, enduring torture and other indignities like having their hair chopped off. CNN's investigation has not been able to confirm what happens to this shorn hair. But Owl Khan's firsthand account supports the U.S. government accusation some Chinese exports from Xinjiang are being made with forced labor. After surviving 15 months in the camps, unable to return to her husband and child in Kazakhstan, she was ordered to work at a factory, sewing gloves that were exported to the U.S. and Europe.
They told me if I refused, I would be sent back to the camp.
Owl Khan says this image from another Chinese state media report shows her at a sewing machine while a VIP delegation toured the factory. Her description matches that of this man, Yerzhan Kurman, another ethnic Kazakh who says he spent 9 months in internment camps before being forced to work in the same factory alongside Owl Khan for 2 months.
We couldn't do anything without permission.
Speaking from safety in Kazakhstan after their release, the two former detainees have a warning for Western consumers.
I'm against these Chinese products. They are made through slavery. So many people were crying while making these products.
To try to end this alleged modern-day slavery, the U.S. government is now banning imports of some products made with suspected forced labor in Xinjiang, though U.S. officials have not provided evidence, citing an ongoing criminal investigation.
U.S. officials did, however, highlight this industrial park, which made the 13 tons of hair products that U.S. Customs seized over the summer, alleging the park uses workers from nearby internment camps. CNN has determined there are at least 4 suspected camps, all walking distance from the factories. The hair companies didn't respond to CNN's request for comment. These Chinese government photos show detainees in one of the camps in 2017. Over the last 3 years, the camps and the industrial park grew rapidly. During that same period, hair exports also surged from the companies in the industrial park to the U.S.
One of the biggest buyers of synthetic hair was I&I Hair, headquartered in Dallas. I&I Hair says it cut off ties with suppliers in Xinjiang in January.
I don't think a lot of us even spend time looking into these issues of internment camps and these other things. And so we were completely oblivious to it. And I believe that a lot of other people in the industry are as well.
That's something the U.S. government wants to change.
Our strong message is to those U.S. importers. They need to know their supply chain and stop producing goods made with forced labor.
The Chinese government denounces what it calls U.S. bullying.
Under the pretext of the so-called forced labor, the U.S. has taken restrictive measures against relevant Chinese companies, which violates international trade rules.
Those denials haven't convinced Tiffany Gill, author of the book Beauty Shop Politics.
I find it particularly sad that a product that is consumed in such large quantities by African American women is produced under exploitative forced labor conditions, particularly when we think about the history of African Americans.
Stylist Michaela Lowe Davis, who crafts what she calls women's crowns, says it's time her industry wakes up to what's going on half a world away.
There should be a wake-up call and more education as well, as far as where the hair comes from. Because I definitely, don't want it to come from slave labor or anything like that.
Ivan Watson, CNN.
Slave labor. You guys heard it? Slave labor. And you heard the lady's story. So they basically abducted this woman, kidnapped her, shaved her head, and then kept her so that she could continue to work. As well, Derek just said in the chat that, yes, Indian girls grow their hair, especially for weaves. And, here's the deal about that. They do it, but a lot of them do it, specifically knowing. And this lady here, she had no clue. She did not know anything that was going on. And so we have this whole mindset now that our hair is bad. And again, you mentioned Chris Rock earlier, Derek. It's not just Chris Rock or other people saying, oh well, you guys think your hair is bad. This didn't just happen for whatever reason. And I actually, you'll find in parts of the study that we're going to be doing over the next 5 weeks, starting today, making it 6. But there was actually a moratorium against women in our culture with our hair, for example, in Louisiana. Yeah, in Louisiana during slavery, they made the women who would adorn their head in braids and, beautiful buns and just gorgeous things, because we didn't have all this trash that we're doing to our heads now. It was said that the slave women had to cover their heads because the master's wives was not able to basically put their hair in all of the braids and all of the things that they were able to do. And so they then started to say, okay, you've got to cover your head. Well, then we got elaborate with the head coverings, right? Because, well, we can rock that. Then they got upset with that. So there were several different things as it relates. When you hear this, the information and the research that we've got for the next few weeks, it's going to blow your mind. Now, a lot of you may know it, but some of us may not. And it's great for us to have a conversation, but I don't understand why we don't love our hair. I mean, hey, wear your hair natural. You do what you want to do overall. And even after listening to this series, I hope that that's the same thing as well, that you do what you choose to do, right? That you wear your hair the way you want to wear your hair. Hello there. Back to the basics. Says at the Lockhart Perspective, mods and chat. Hey, y'all, beautiful people. Well, hey, you beautiful back to the basics. You do basically whatever you want to do. Wear your hair however you want to wear it. But the one thing you need to understand is, what are you putting in your hair? You just saw them talking specifically about slave labor, that the United States government doesn't even want any of that stuff back over here if it is made under slave labor. Black Spring with Autumn, hello. They don't want it back over here, right? And then another thing about that is, when you look at what's inside of the hair care products, especially with all those companies now touting everything as natural. Oh, wait a minute. We've always had our hair natural. Our hair has always been natural. It's always come out of our head. What is natural? You know what I mean? But they found a way to make money off of it. They found a way to make money. So now everybody has a product that's natural. Everybody. But isn't all hair natural? Everybody's got a product, but these products right now have things in it that can damage your glandular system, that can create fibroid tumors in Black women, that can cause obesity, that can cause asthma, that can cause a bevy of problems. And you were thinking that it was your allergies. Yeah, that's what you were thinking. You were thinking that you were having a problem with your allergies, and you didn't even know that the truth of it was that you were being poisoned slowly. So there are some studies out there that show that the preponderance of the products that are made, with the exception of those that we whip up in our kitchen, right? Because a lot of us got tired and a lot of us decided to just start putting things on our hair from the kitchen. Coconut oil. It's a great thing. And as a hairdresser, as like I said earlier, as a master cosmetologist, one of the things that I would recommend to my customers who had breakage in their hair, who had alopecia, who had other things going on with their scalp, whether it was, tension alopecia or whether it was another form of alopecia, I would always tell them, let's get back to the basics. A lot of people, I don't need to put any grease in my hair. Well, you may not need to put grease in your hair, but you definitely need to lubricate that scalp and keep it well moisturized, right? But a lot of the products that we're looking at right now, they're showing that they have products in them, methyl, a few other names that are just off the chain. And I'm going to put those I'll tell you about them. You guys can go ahead and try to pronounce them. I'm only going to badger them. the pronunciation, I'll only badger it. But some of the products that they're putting in that can have actually been tested and have shown that they damage the pituitary gland. Yeah, they damage the thymus. They damage your metabolism. And you know what gland affects the metabolism, right? Sure we do. It's that little butterfly-shaped gland right there in the throat. It damages it. And so what happens when you have Black women who are gaining weight? You know, we don't even think about it. We don't even think about the small things. A lot of the times we'll just be thinking, I'm just picking up weight as I get older, but you don't know that it could be the products that you're putting in your hair. And that's the creepy piece. You don't have any clue that that's what it could be. So over the next few weeks, I think you'll find that you will be very well educated on some of the dangers in Black hair care products. You'll find that the weave, like I shared with you at the very top of the hour, that the weave that I had actually made the white of my eyes close over the pupil or the black part, whatever that black part of the eye is. Yeah, it gave me edema. It gave me edema of the white of my eye. And it actually swelled up so big, the white of my eye did, that it went around the black of my eye. That part. So there's nothing wrong with taking that coconut oil and putting it on the scalp. Coconut oil is and here's something free. Most of you might know that coconut oil is healthy for the scalp because it is antiviral, it is antibacterial, it has its own moisture or lipid base in it that helps keep the hair supple, that helps keep the hair moisturized, and it also gives your scalp and your hair the right amount of oil. And one thing you want is when you oil your scalp, you want to make sure, yes, that's what I had. I had that. I'm going to put this up here. There we go. I'm going to put this what she says here. Hey, old head. Yeah. And so it moisturizes the scalp. It's wonderful to use. What I recommend to my customers is shampoo your hair at least twice a week. Oh my God, twice a week. Are you kidding? Yes. If we're trying to stimulate that scalp and get that hair to grow so that you don't think you have to go sew some strange woman with all different kinds of spirits roaming throughout her body and now transferred through that hair. Yeah, I said that into your head. Listen carefully. You're going to want to make sure that you shampoo your hair, especially when you're getting on this regimen. Shampoo it in its natural state. Shampoo it 2 times a week. You can do it. It's going to be okay, especially if you're doing twist outs and natural styles. I'm trying to loosen up the scalp, aerate the scalp, get the hair growing. That manipulation of the scalp for the first couple of weeks while you're on this regimen is going to help the hair greatly. But you got to make sure that you are putting the right amount of product in it, which is the coconut oil. Sometimes it's all you need is 100% pure cold pressed coconut oil. You can add anything that you want to add in it. Do you like lavender? Does your scalp itch? Now, if you ain't got no man, you don't mind rocking a little bit of Melaleuca oil. Put yourself a few drops of tea tree in that just to make your scalp feel nice and comfortable if you have an itchy scalp. Get back to basics. There's a lady in the chat right now. Back to basics. Back to the basics. Get back to basics. Get back to remember when our hair was great again, we had hair down our back. All the way down our back. My grandmother's hair you could sit on her hair. Even though they were Cherokee Indian, we're still of the same blood. And what we did is we bought into the lie that we had bad hair because somebody didn't like our hair. Somebody didn't want us to rock our hair the way that it was. Somebody thought about it and said, gee, I wish I could do that. And you know what? Let me tell you guys how I know I'm right. Because when I was working in California, there was a woman. She was a sweet lady. She did not mean any harm. That's the first thing that we need to understand. She did not mean any harm at all. But she walked up to me in the break room. Very nice woman, you guys. I'm not taking anything from this lady. She didn't mean any harm. I'm going to be honest. I had my hair cornrowed. And she walked up to me and she says, oh, Felicia, your hair is so pretty. Oh, can I please? And her hand was going right there to my scalp. Oh, no. We can't do that. No. I had to move her hand. No. I'm sorry. We can't do that. but they're amazed with the hair. So that's how I know that what was going on in Louisiana and the story that I had that I'm going to bring you in a couple of weeks was a true story. Because yes, I know that people are amazed at how we adorn our head and how we can wrap our heads in beautiful scarves. We don't need a reason. You know, for us, hey, if I feel like it, bad hair day or no bad hair day, I can wrap my head in a beautiful scarf and feel just as confident. But we need to get back to loving ourselves. We need to get back to dealing with what we know is healthy for us, because what we just saw there, using slave labor, and you're buying it and you're putting it in your head. But did you hear what they said? It was a $1 billion industry, and that's just in the hair market. I'll hold. Only the hair is $1 billion industry. That's amazing. That's amazing. Because when you get into the next part that we're going to start talking about, and we're not even done with the hair piece yet. Pardon the pun. But it is coming up on the 37-minute mark. And this, of course, as you know, is just the foundation for the next 5 weeks that we'll have from now to the next, going on 6 weeks, the 18th of November. We will have professional hairdressers, some of my colleagues from when I owned my salons in Atlanta. And we'll have several of those folks that have studied with the likes of, Paul Mitchell, who have studied, and physically know them, Vidal Sassoon and wonderful estheticians. A gentleman next week will be here. Unbelievable what he knows about the skin. He has been with the Aveda Institute. He's also got his own salon or facial spa. He has that in the state of Georgia, and that is in Atlanta. And he takes care of a lot of great people. He takes care of a lot of famous folk. He takes care of a lot of regular folk. But what he does well, and that is the skin. His name is Anthony Kyle, and he will be here with us next week. And I really think that you guys are going to love it. It is the Kevant Salon. Kevant Salon. And he's outstanding. Of course, I know him because, back in the day, everybody in Atlanta pretty much knew everybody in Atlanta. I don't know what's going on there now, but I do know that we all knew one another, and this cat is off the chain. When you talk about hair, he can do skin, but he is the best with skin. So we're going to separate our ways right now. I'm glad you guys allowed me to lay down the foundation so that you know exactly which direction we're going. We are going straight to the pocketbook, and we are going to answer some of the questions. We're not just going to deal with the problem and talk about it and moan and say, how come we don't have any more stores for ourselves and why we don't have this and that. I can get into that piece too, because I worked that part of the industry as well. Having worked in the beauty chain industries where you have beauty supply stores, I work for one of the best in the Southeast for the past few years, and they are one of the best, I tell you honestly. But there are reasons why a lot of us don't own them. There are reasons, and we're going to get into that too. It's always good to talk about the problem, especially right now while we're starting to reset and you all feel that there's a reset. Let's talk about the problem, but with that, let's give some solutions, because if we don't, we're just sitting around belly aching, and who wants that? We'll just be the same old talking drum, crying and whining and not making any change. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Black Spring with Autumn. You and I are going to have to jump together real soon here, possibly this weekend if it's time. If you have time, I'd love for us to talk about some things that's going on, because it's a lot happening. And again, I'm not sure if Brother Derek C. Williams is still in the chat, but if he's not, thank you so much for coming in. Old Head Deuce, all of my mods. I want to tell you guys, I have the best set of mods. Nobody ever will be able to say this, but they do. They try it. They all try it, but they'll never ever be able to duplicate the people that God has blessed me with. Listen, folks, I appreciate you guys, each and every one of you. Thank you so very much for being here. Next week, remember, Wednesday, we will talk to this man who will tell us how to make our skin nice and healthy and glowing without having to put all of that war paint on. Again, you guys know I worked for MAC for several years. I worked for the Lauder brand several years, rotator and trainer with Shiseido USA. So I've done the gamut with the makeup. And that's why I'm here to tell you, hey, you don't have to pile all that stuff on your face. You don't have to go and and we're going to deal with the eyelashes too. I call them bats. I call eyelashes bats. We were not dressed unless we had on a full face of makeup, including our eyelashes with MAC. So we're going to talk about it all. Again, this is nothing to beat us up. It's just to give us some options, and it's to make us aware of what we're putting in our hair and in our bodies and on our skin, right? Okay, you guys, you all take care. It's at the 41-minute mark, and I appreciate you all so much and bless you as well. And she says, thank you so much for all you do. You are most generous. That's because I love you guys. You guys are the best. I want to tell you, Black Spring with Autumn, if you guys have not checked her channel out, I know Old Head and I know that Derek C. Williams does, but for those who are going to be watching in the replay, goodness gracious, good night, Irene. If you want to see some top quality commentating, and if you want to see somebody who's very laid back, but unbelievably intelligent and well-versed, well-read, and she's from California, I'm, been raised there too. So I'm not going to say that you don't get no good stuff from out there. What I'm saying is in a world of the most liberal people that you could find, you find these beautiful jewels. Old Head Deuce, Black Spring with Autumn, great people. Lee Hill, who was just here with us this past top of the week, he's going to be back with us next Monday. We're going to go over some more things. We have some ways for you to help your community. Again, no belly aching, but it's a way for you to help your community. If there's something that you need to know, he's going to show you how to do it. Going to show you how to write those letters. He's going to encourage you and make sure that if you need any help, we can be here to help you. Again, you guys, I thank you so very much. You all be blessed. Have a super duper night. And Black Spring, you and I got to hook up. All right, everybody. I love you guys. You take care. Bye-bye.